Hey, you can let them in now.
Okay. Actually, I'm trying to log in at the phone number.
Mm, I think it's okay because they had to register anyway. That's fine. I see them. Hello, everyone. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. We're going to wait for a few more people to join, and then we'll get started on our lunch and learn today. But thank you for being here and thank you for logging in. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Tuesday after spring break. I think this is the perfect time to talk about sleep, um, seeing how you either got a lot of sleep or didn't get enough sleep, or maybe you're missing out on some sleep right now. But that's basically what we'll be talking about today for our lunch and learn. So, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you registered, if you were one of the first 10 to register, and then of course you're here now, you will be getting an email later this week that you won a meal voucher. Those meal vouchers are worth $6 at any of the retail locations here on campus. So while we can't feed you right this second, we will get you the lunch that you have won. So definitely check your email to see if you were one of our meal voucher winners. Also, if your name that you are logged into Zoom with isn't your actual name, please change it to your actual name so we can have a record of your attendance. My name is Brittany Clarkson. I am a health education specialist here in the Office of Health Promotion. And today we are going to be talking all about sleep. And I've titled this program Z's Get Degrees, and we'll talk a little bit about why that is in just a minute. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to share, please feel free to either toss it in the chat or you can come off of mute if you have any questions. Um, and I don't mind being interrupted, so we'll go ahead and get started. So, our objectives for this afternoon's lunch and learn is to discuss the importance of sleep. So, we'll talk about what sleep is and why it's important. We will put a definition to sleep deprivation. You'll be able to identify the different stages of sleep, and we will discuss how you can improve your sleep with some real tangible takeaway action items that you should be able to put into practice right away. So, what is sleep, right? Sleep is kind of an abstract thought, right? We think that sleep is just, we lay down, we close our eyes, and then we wake back up, right? But exactly what is sleep? So, sleep is a biological process. So, your body has different biological processes, which means that that's just part of your biology. That's something that you do, whether you know it or not, and you can't help it, right? And it's a cycle. It's a biological process cycle. So you have a sleep and you have a wake cycle. So you're asleep for so many hours of the day and you're awake for so many hours of the day. Some other examples of biological process cycles are things like if you have a uterus, you have a menstrual cycle. Every 28 to 31 days, you menstruate, right? You can't help that. There's nothing that you can't will yourself not to do that. Also, your heartbeat, right? And your blood pumping. Your heart beats every so many times every minute, whether you want it to or not. You can't convince your heart not to beat and pump blood. So those are biological process cycles. So sleep is one of those. So the definition for sleep really is that it's an extended period of rest that you experience daily where you actually go unconscious. So unconscious means that you're unaware of what's happening around you. You can't hear, you can't see, you just don't know what's going on around you. And in this process, your brain, your nerves, and your muscles, they all go into this rest and recover mode. And that's really, really important for our development. So sleep is an active period. So, we think of sleep as resting where nothing happens. But even though your brain and your nerves and your muscles go into rest and recover, there's a lot that goes on when you are asleep. A lot of important processing, restoration, even strengthening of your mind and body occurs while you're asleep. Again, nothing you can do to stop it or prevent it. It just happens automatically. And although we sleep a lot, every human being sleeps, you come out of the womb already knowing how to sleep. Nobody has to teach you how to sleep. It's not a fully understood process. So there's a lot that neuroscientists, people who study the brain, don't understand about sleep, but we do know that it is an essential part for life and actually for your survival. So why is sleeping important? Okay. So sleep is important because it's the time where your brain consolidates all of your memory, which is very, very key for students because that's how all of your learning becomes connected, right? So throughout the day, you have different experiences and you have your short-term memory, you have your long-term memory, and you have the things that are told. So, it's conversation with a friend or the things that you have studied. When you're asleep, your brain links and chains all of that information together into one solid memory. So that's why sometimes after you've had a good night rest, you're able to recall information a lot better and put information together. Right after a good night's sleep, you're able to see why plus B equals C, right? Because you had that memory consolidation while you were asleep. Also during sleep, you have a discharge of emotions during REM sleep, which we'll talk about. And that discharge of emotion is what turns into your dreams. And it's important that also during your REM sleep, you experience muscle paralysis, or else you'd be able to act out your dreams. So sleep is also a great mental health tool because it provides a way of allowing you to experience your emotions without acting them out. So that's a way for you to experience and synthesize emotions and how you're feeling without the consequences of, putting your emotions or putting your feelings on another person, right? And that in turn helps with your emotional regulation throughout the day. So there's a lot of science and there's a lot of pseudoscience about dreams and what dreams mean. And we won't get into that, but all of that is tied to the emotions that you feel in the daytime, and your mind is trying to work them out while you're asleep. I also wanted to note that there's another kind of theory about why sleep is important. And there's two theories. There's one that is a evolutionary theory, right? One that says we sleep, especially during the nighttime, because that's when the predators are out, right? So it's our way of kind of going into hiding, tucking ourselves away, and being safe while all kinds of discourse happens out in the world. Because humans, we don't have night vision, right? Not naturally. So we can't see very well at night. So instead of being out at night and thriving and doing all of our normal activities, when we can't see, we go into our safe space, we go into our shelters, and we go to sleep because that's a safe time to do it. So that's another theory about kind of like what makes sleep so important. So when you go to sleep, you have these 5 stages of sleep that make up your entire sleep cycle, right? And understanding your different sleep cycles might help lead to better sleep because you'll be able to know what your body is doing at each stage. So the first stage in the sleep cycle, so your first 4 stages are called non-REM sleep, right? REM stands for rapid eye movement. So these non-REM sleep stages are stages 1 through 4. So the very first stage of sleep is when you first drift off into sleep, right? So this is the time when you decide, okay, I'm getting tired. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to close my eyes. So you're relaxed. But if somebody comes in and calls your name or makes a loud noise, or if something happens outside, you'll wake up super easy, right? This is a stage where if you're stayed up all night and you have to go to class, maybe you're like nodding off and doing that like head jerk thing. This is stage 1 of the sleep cycle. Um, you're typically in this stage for about 5 to 10 minutes. So that's just typically. The second stage of the sleep cycle, this is when your body is preparing you for deep sleep. Okay, so your heart rate starts to slow down, your body temperature starts to lower, you may feel a little chill or get a little cool. This is your body starting to slow everything down, right? If you're somebody who's like a chemistry major, you know that the faster a particle moves, the hotter it is, and the slower a particle moves, the colder it is. So same thing with your body and sleep. In stage 2, you slow down, body temperature goes down, and you begin to be in this like light sleep mode, right? So we like to tell students that if you're trying to get into like trying to get a power nap in before classes, you don't want to go beyond this stage, right? Because anything after stage 2, waking up becomes a little bit more difficult and you get a little bit less motivated to actually wake up. So if you're trying to get a nap in before class, or if you've got something important to do and you need to take a nap first, we say limit that to 30 minutes. So 5 to 10 minutes in your stage 1, and then about 15 minutes to 20 minutes in your stage 2, and that'll actually provide enough enough rest for you to get through the day. So once you leave stage 2 of sleep, you will enter into stage 3. Now, stage 3 is kind of highly contested, right? Some people say there's 4 stages of sleep, some people say 5. But stage 3 is this transitional state between light sleep and deep sleep, right? So at this point, your heart rate is lowered, your body temperature has lowered, and now your brain waves are starting to become slow and deep. And so your brain waves start to produce this delta wave pattern. This transition your body from being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, alert and easily awoken to, um, being, you know, al basically only your most vital body functions that you need to stay alive are in operation, right? So you have less of an ability to hear things, you have less of an ability to feel things. Pretty much the only things that you need to stay alive, like your heart rate, a decent body temperature, your breathing, those are the only things that are really still going because nothing else is necessary because you're slipping into that unconscious, that deep unconscious state. Um, Now, this stage is, like I said, it's kind of contested as if it's a real stage or not, because once you've gone through a couple of sleep cycles, you will actually skip this third stage altogether. Um, and between stage 3 and stage 4, this is where we see a lot of sleepwalking happening. Okay. And now and we won't talk a ton about sleepwalking, but sleepwalking is technically a neurological disorder because your body is supposed to paralyze you while you're asleep so that you can't move. So if that paralysis isn't working, then that's when you're getting up and acting out your dreams or sleepwalking, which can be very dangerous because you're not conscious. But I digress. So moving into stage 4. So in the stage 4 of sleep, this is a stage of sleep where you're not easily awoken. And this is where your body repair starts to happen. So any stress or strain that you put on your tissues or your bones, um, any strain that you put on your immune system, this is when your body is relaxing enough that it can start self-repairing those things. So the time that you spend in this stage will help you build your energy for the next day. It again, this is where that memory consolidation is encouraged. At this point, your heart rate is at the lowest it will ever be while still being alive, and you become less responsive to outside stimulation. So this is the stage of sleep where you're most likely to sleep past your alarm because you just don't hear it. Or if your RA comes knocking on your door, if your roommate comes knocking on your door, you won't hear them because you're in such a deep state of sleep. And at this point, hearing is not an essential vital function. You just don't hear it. It doesn't wake you up. Now, if somebody were to wake you up in stage 4 of sleep, let's say they started shaking you or really shouting at you to get your attention, when you wake up, you'll feel just extremely groggy. Like you'll feel like your head is in a cloud. You'll be disoriented. You'll be confused. And there's a good chance that you'll be emotional, right? You'll either be about to cry because you have been woken up out of this really good sleep, or you'll be like really mad. But you're most likely to experience heightened emotion if you're awoken during stage 4, right? And then again, in typical and normal sleep, your body is paralyzed at this stage to keep you from acting out your dream. But some people do experience chronic sleepwalking where they don't have that lack of muscle paralysis, which again can be dangerous. Okay. Now, stage 5 is REM sleep. So again, REM stands for rapid eye movement. So during this cycle of sleep, or this stage of sleep, your eyes move and they dart back and forth really, really quickly. So if somebody were to open up your eyelid, they would see your eye just going crazy. And that's where they get rapid eye movement from. So during REM sleep, your brain activity shoots up, it just increases. So you spent all of this time getting your body and your brain waves to a very low operating state. But during rapid eye movement, your brain activity just goes berserk, right? Your pulse gets quick. And this is where a lot of researchers say that most of your dreaming occurs. And so everybody dreams. Not everybody will remember their dreams, but pretty much everybody dreams. Um, so REM sleep first takes place after you've been sleeping for about 90 minutes. Um, so if you are a person who maybe as a kid you had like night terrors, that is a result of an interruption between your stage 4 and your stage 5. So if you were as a kid that had night terrors, you usually have your night terrors 90 minutes after you go to sleep, and you usually don't remember them. But your night terrors come when you're transitioning between stage 4 and stage 5 and something gets interrupted. So all in all, it takes you between 90 and 120 minutes to complete all 5 stages. So between an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete all 5 stages. And to be well rested and, you know, feel like you've had a good night's sleep, you need to go through this entire cycle 4 to 5 times. And usually when you're about to wake up, you're back into stage 1. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, chances are that you've gone through all 5 stages, but now your body is back in stage 1, where you're in that very light sleep, so that your body is warming up and moving around and coming back, to consciousness, and you wake up in about stage 1 or 2. So the benefits of getting into that REM sleep and getting those 4 or 5 cycles of sleep every night is that it reduces stress, right? So there's a study that the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke did, and it showed that by depriving lab rats of REM sleep, it significantly shortened their lifespan from as long as 2 to 3 years, right? So rats who were deprived of all sleep cycles really only lived for 3 weeks from the start of their deprivation. So that shows the importance of not only sleep, but getting to that 5th stage of REM sleep in particular. Because that phase is extremely, extremely important in neural connections, and it's a key to your mental health and your overall well-being. So getting that REM sleep reduces stress. Again, it improves your memory, your concentration, and your productivity, all of which is extremely important for college students, especially during midterms and finals. It helps to lower your blood pressure, strengthens your immune system so you can fight infections. It also helps you maintain your weight. So your weight and stress are very connected. The more stress you have, the easier it is for you to gain or lose unhealthy amounts of weight due to this hormone called cortisol. So when you're not getting the REM sleep or the sleep that you need, you're increasing your stress, which could affect your healthy weight. Getting REM sleep also helps keep your heart healthy, and again, increases your ability to be emotionally stable, to stay calm and controlled and have reasonable reactions to the day. So let's talk a little bit about needs and wants of sleep, right? So you can put it in the chat or you can raise your hands, but how many of you get the amount of sleep that you want? Okay. Okay, so we have a couple of hands raised. Okay. So you get the amount of sleep that you want. All right. So how many of you feel like you only get what you need, but you could probably, deal with a little bit more? Yeah, anybody could deal with, I know I could deal with more sleep. Like I absolutely, if I could get 10 hours of sleep, I sign me up for it, right? Yes, absolutely. So there's this disconnect, right? The amount of sleep that we want is sometimes not always the amount that we need, right? So again, like I said, I could go with 10 hours of sleep a night, right? I would love that. I have a small child and a job, so I can't get that. But according to the Neurological Association, someone for our age group, so 18 to 65 years old, we only need 7 to 9 hours of sleep per day. That's what we need to stay functioning, to stay productive, to stay emotionally stable, right? I would like more than that, but I have trouble getting the 7 hours sometimes, right? So the amount of sleep we want is not always the amount that we need. And the amount that we get is rarely ever what we want or what we need, right? So different people find that they need different amounts of sleep, right? So there have been books written about people who, can do with 5 hours of sleep and then be their best selves. That book is not about That's not about me. Right? I definitely cannot run off of 5 hours of sleep every night, right? So the needs of different people are going to vary, but for the most part 7 to 9 hours is what our age group needs to be able to function. Okay? So go ahead and open up the chat if you would like to. You don't have to, but what would you say keeps you from getting enough sleep? So what keeps you from getting that 7 to 9 hours of sleep tonight? Procrastination? Yes, absolutely. Call of Duty. Thank you for the transparency. Okay, TikTok, that's me, right? I will TikTok all night. Vine, you're throwing it back with Vine. Okay, so social media, gaming, just putting off going to bed. Yeah, I think we're all kind of guilty of those things. Okay. Um, okay, children and school assignments, absolutely, absolutely. Other priorities, and I think that's one of the biggest issues is we don't prioritize sleep, right? There's this I think it's like a Young Jeezy song. He's like, basically, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like we think of sleep as not a need, or not something that's essential. We think of sleep as something that's, inconvenient that you can put off until later, right? Okay, depression, insomnia, those things can definitely keep you up or keep you from getting the sleep that you want, right? So our society kind of has this view that sleep is not necessary, that, you know, things that productivity is more important than getting the hours of sleep that we need. But as we just talked about, it's very, very hard to be productive if you're not getting the sleep that your body needs, right? So, what kind of impact does this have on you? How do you feel, or what do you notice about yourself when you're not getting that 7 to 9 hours of sleep? Okay, dip into a bit of depression. Yeah, mental health issues are definitely um, in there as a side effect of not getting enough sleep. Okay? I like to tell people that I get grumpy, right? I love my sleep, and when I don't get enough sleep, I'm just not a pleasant person to be around, and no amount of coffee can fix that, right? So there's definitely a direct link between a lot of physical manifestations and mental manifestations, even emotional ones, with the amount of sleep that you get. So, and that brings me into sleep deprivation, right? So, sleep deprivation is basically when you are keeping yourself from sleeping, or when you're not getting the amount of sleep that you need. And sleep deprivation is very common. Um, Sleep deprivation affects about 47 million American adults. That's almost a quarter, or 25% of the adult population will classify themselves as sleep deprived, right? So that's a lot of people. And we did a study of students about 2 years ago, just about their different health habits. And this is SHSU students. And we found that 40% of students, and this was done in the spring, so about this time, 2019, so even before COVID, but about 40% of students here at SHSU reported that they felt rested only 2 or less days out of the week, right? So, so those 2 days were probably the weekends, right? Saturdays and Sundays. And then 46% of SHSU students reported feeling sleepy or tired throughout the day for 3 to 5 days a week, right? So what we're looking at is about 40 to 45% of students are only feeling rested 2 days a week, and the other 5 days a week, they just feel tired and dragged out and sleepy, right? And there's a trend in our nation that says we're getting less and less sleep, right? Um, so in 1910, the average person slept 9 hours. Okay. By 1975, the average person slept 7.5 hours. Right. So in about 65 years, we lost 1.5 hours of sleep on average. And in 2002, there was a poll done called Sleep in America conducted by the NSF, and that said that the average American only sleeps about 6.9 hours a night, right? So we're getting less and less sleep. Does anybody know why that might be? Have any thoughts on why we're getting less and less sleep every year? Okay, phones, yeah, cell phones, absolutely. Cell phones is a huge culprit in my opinion. Okay, stress, television, yeah, absolutely. There's more like to stimulate us, right? There's more to keep us from sleeping. I think we we work more. TikTok again, yes. We work more now. And it's not the kind of work like, in the 1910s there were a lot of farmers that worked on their own land, but now we work so far away from home, right? Okay, insomnia, absolutely. So, things have just changed, and sleep is just harder and harder to come by and less of a priority. And we're getting less of it, and it shows. So, what exactly causes sleep deprivation? Sleep deprivation is actually something that accumulates, right? When we don't get enough sleep, we accumulate what is called a sleep debt. And this sleep debt is similar to financial debt or like credit card debt. And it can be very, very hard to pay back when the debt amount is large. So when a student doesn't get, or really when anybody doesn't get the required amount of sleep, a sleep debt is created. So all the sleep that you miss out on pushes you further and further into sleep debt. And sooner or later, you're going to be able to see these negative health effects of the sleep debt or the sleep deprivation. So although you may feel fine, your sleep debt doesn't just go away. The only way to reduce your sleep debt is by getting extra sleep over and above your daily requirement, right? So if on Saturday you only slept for 4 hours, you have to tack on another 3 to 4 to catch up the next night. So the next night, instead of sleeping 8 hours, you're sleeping 12, right? So again, think of it as shopping, going shopping and putting all your charges on a credit card, right? If you spend and you spend and you spend, I just recently was introduced to Shein by my good coworker right next door. And I have spent all of the money, right? Um, but if I'm only paying back the minimum amount for all of my clothes, right, it's going to be super, super difficult for me to eventually get that balance down, right? So the only way to make it right is to make more than the minimum payments or get more than the minimum required amount of sleep until your entire sleep debt has been paid. But there's a wrinkle in this sleep debt scenario or metaphor. You only have so much time to repay your sleep debt before that is just lost sleep forever. And I believe it's about 3 or 4 days, right? So if you are depriving yourself of sleep on Monday, by the weekend, you have lost the time that it takes to make up that sleep. So you're needing to make up that sleep debt right away. Okay. And it keeps building, right? If you're not sleeping Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then you're having to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and maybe even Monday again, trying to make it all up. Okay. So when you're getting into this place where you're constantly, depriving yourself of sleep, so like an occasional night of sleep, right? That may make you tired the next day, or occasional night of not getting enough sleep. It may make you tired the next day, but overall, it won't lead to many health complications. But if you keep having nights where you are having sleepless nights and not getting enough of your sleep, that's when the sleep deprivation comes into play. So 1 or 2 nights here or there, it's not going to make a big difference. But over and over and over again, over a period of time, that's when these sleep deprivation issues will start to take hold, right? So you're not getting enough time to sleep. So you're putting yourself deeper in the sleep debt. Um, some things you can begin to experience are excessive worry or anxiety, um, something we call like a loud inner voice. So an inner voice is kind of like what this cartoon shows, where your brain is just in overdrive and you can't really focus on anything outside of that, right? So your brain's like, are you going to sleep? Like, yes, I'm going to sleep now. Shut up. And your brain says something crazy like, farts are just the ghosts of our food. And now you're up all night thinking about that, right? And it's just silly, right? Or you're thinking about that all through class when you should be listening to your Zoom or your lecture, right? Distress, anxiety, and depression, you're at increased risk for that. Repeated awakenings or restlessness. Um, if you're working at night, that can lead to sleep deprivation. Traveling, especially if you're traveling across different time zones, that can lead to sleep deprivation. And then some people have, medical illnesses that might cause pain or difficulty breathing, or their medications make them jittery, or they have, you could have diagnosed insomnia. And so all of these things can lead to sleep deprivation. And so, in turn, sleep deprivation causes things like fatigue, right? So, fatigue is like where you had the opportunity to take a nap, that you would be there for it, right? Fatigue increases your stress and your anxiety and your depression symptoms. It also affects your mood and your irritability levels, which can hinder your personal relationships by making you kind of a moody person. Um, it also makes it hard to perform motor functions, right? Um, if you're somebody who works out, lifts weights, being fatigued constantly can affect your muscle strength and your endurance. And it can also affect your immune system by diminishing it or compromising it, which puts you at more risk for illness or infection like the cold or flu or COVID. And then your appetite tends to increase, which again can potentially cause weight gain, right? Also, there's lack of energy. So lack of sleep tends to deplete our usual energy storages, um, which just makes us feel lethargic and uninspired to work, and unmotivated and a little bit lazy. Uh, Mood changes. So we talked about how fatigue can make you moody. Social problems. Um, Being moody can affect your relationships with people or your coworkers. Maybe something that you wouldn't ordinarily tell your boss slips out because you didn't get enough sleep, right? And you're responsible for whatever comes out of your mouth, right? Lack of concentration, so not being able to focus or hold your attention to something for very long. And then impaired driving. So driving while sleep deprived is similar to having a zero point 0.1 BAC, right? So driving while sleepy is comparable to driving while drunk, right? You experience a slow reaction time, you experience double vision, dozing off, doing the head bob thing, which is extremely, extremely dangerous. So the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimates that um, sleep deprivation, driving, or drowsy driving is the cause for over 100,000 crashes each year. And within those 100,000 crashes, about 71,000 result in injuries and about 1,500 result in death. So driving while drowsy is just as serious as driving while drunk. Um, in that it could literally take somebody's life. So it's very, very important to get your sleep, especially if you're driving from like Sam, back home for the weekend or something like that. You don't want to do that if you're already tired and fatigued. So how do we fight the fatigue? How do we fight back and reclaim our sleep? Or if you're having issues with sleep, how do we get better sleep? Right. So we're gonna call this fighting the fatigue. Now, Some of these suggestions may help you get better sleep. Some of them may not work for you. But remember, different things work for different people. And also, if this is something new that you want to try, if you pick any of the ideas to try to incorporate into your lives and your sleep routine, it may not work right away. You may have to try them out multiple times over days or weeks in order to start noticing a difference. Um, but this is what we like to call sleep hygiene. It's designed to help you get better, more restful sleep. Um, but if none of these work for you, we definitely recommend seeing one of the counselors at our counseling center or one of the providers at the Student Health Center to help you figure out maybe where you can um, meet some of your sleep needs. But here are some suggestions we have to fighting that fatigue. So the first thing we're going to focus on are your daytime habits, right? In order to get better sleep at night, you have to adjust the things that you're doing in the daytime to create a better separation within that sleep and wake cycle, right? So this includes determining a bedtime and an awakening time. So your body is, humans are creatures of habit. Your body wants to do the same things every day, right? So your body becomes accustomed to falling asleep at a certain time. It also becomes accustomed to waking up at a certain time. That's why you may wake up, 2 or 3 minutes before your alarm or 10 minutes before your alarm, and you're like irritated because you wanted those few minutes of sleep, right? So this is important to try to get your body used to going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. So that trains your body to get the sleep that you need and you want. Try not to allow your bedtime to drift later and later because you'll still wake up at the same time. So if you train your body to wake up at 6 o'clock every day, no matter when you go to sleep, your body is going to wake up at 6 o'clock every day because you have trained it to do that, right? So set a schedule and make sure your schedule operates around your sleeping and your waking up time and not the other way around, right? Avoid napping during the day. So napping can disrupt your normal sleep pattern. So try skipping your daytime naps if that's something that you do. Like if you nap once you get out of class or you get home from work, especially if it's after like 4 or 5 o'clock, because that pushes real close into bedtime, right? So this should improve your nighttime sleep. If you feel sleepy in the late afternoons, try to do some walking or to do some stretches, drink some water or move around. But if you absolutely need to take a nap, again, limit it to 30 minutes so you're not dipping in to that stage 3 sleep. Okay? Avoid alcohol and caffeine 4 to 6 hours before bed, right? So this means if you go to bed at 9 o'clock every day, you need to stop drinking caffeine and no coffee after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So with caffeine is in coffee, it's in soda, it's in tea, it's in chocolate, it's also in cigarettes if you smoke. So these are things you want to avoid before bedtime. And with alcohol, now I know a lot of drinking is done at night and in the middle of the night and really late at night. But alcohol, although it's a drug, it's a depressant. It can help you fall asleep. The sleep that you get is not quality sleep. So falling using alcohol to sleep, it actually robs you of your REM sleep. So you never really get that deep sleep because as your body is metabolizing that alcohol and as your body is getting rid of that alcohol, that depressive state that the alcohol put you in is becoming lifted and your body is actually becoming more stimulated, right? So if you go to sleep in a depressive state, your body is slowly getting back to a stimulated state. So you're not getting that deep sleep that your body really needs. Okay? Exercising regularly can help you normalize your sleep pattern. It can tire you out and help you reach a deeper sleep. And then again, it's a great way to relieve stress. Every individual is different as far as what time is the best time to exercise each day, but we do recommend not exercising 2 hours before bedtime because then you ramp your body up to have way too much energy to fall asleep. Okay. Although that may work for some people. Again, you have to figure out what works best for you. Consume a healthy diet. You don't want to eat like super heavy meals, especially greasy fried food right before bed, because that's going to make you very uncomfortable. It's going to make you bloated. You're going to be up going to the bathroom all night. So that just really interrupts your sleep. And then manage your stress and anxiety, because that can follow you into bed and then you'll be up all night. All right, next we'll talk about your sleeping environment. So your room, your dorm room, your apartment, it should be suited to helping you fall asleep, right? So if you're able to pick your bed, find a comfortable bed. If your bed is not very comfortable, find some comfortable bedding. Get maybe like a mattress pad or some memory foam to lay on top of it, or some real good pillows. But really, really spoil yourself. Your bed should be just your escape, your place to go to, get away from it all. It should be your own like little retreat. So spoil yourself when it comes to your bed and your bedding. Set your room to a cool temperature. Again, your body temperature is going to lower in that second stage of sleep. So if you have a cool, but not too cold, like you don't want a frigid ice box of a room, but if your room is cool, it's telling your body, okay, it's time to slow down and get some rest. Kill the clutter, right? If you're a person like me who just kind of comes in and throws stuff around, sometimes having a messy room just keeps your mind from being able to slow down and rest. So try, try cleaning up, try organizing so that, like they say, messy room, messy mind. So try cleaning up your room, decluttering a little bit, and just giving yourself literal space to think and relax. You want to eliminate light and noise. So if you can keep your room dark and quiet, that's going to be the best. If you have a roommate situation where that's not possible, um, we give out kits in our office and at the pharmacy on campus, and one of them is a sleeping soundly kit that includes um, a couple of pairs of earplugs and a sleep mask. So if you can't have natural low lights and no noise, you can always simulate it with earplugs and a face mask. Avoid TV about an hour before bedtime. Television is very stimulating, especially if you're watching something funny or dramatic. But the lights and sounds and the emotions that TV can elicit, it can be hard to cut down off of that. So avoid TV for about an hour before you go to bed. Also, you want to avoid using your phone about 30 minutes before bed. And I'm guilty of this a lot. Whoever put TikTok in there, I will be TikToking until I fall asleep, right? But the stimulation again on your phone, and also the blue light that comes through on your phone, that can keep you up. That blue light actually tells your brain to not go to sleep. It tells your brain not to make your melatonin, which helps you sleep. So scrolling while you're trying to fall asleep, it just keeps you up later and it keeps your brain going. So try to avoid using your phone 30 minutes before bed. And then set a time for visitors to leave, right? Have some boundaries with your friends, with your neighbors, even with your roommate. Say, okay, I go to bed at 10 o'clock. So at 8:30, everybody got to go. Everybody needs to leave because I got to start doing my bed routine, right? So set a set time and make sure everybody knows those are your boundaries and respects those. All right, so then once you're ready for bed, you want to establish a ritual. Again, we are creatures of habit. We like to do the same things over and over again. So establish a ritual, a routine. So let's say so that'll help your body to know, okay, once I start doing these things, it's time to shut it down. It's time to go to sleep, right? So your ritual could be turning off the TV, taking a hot shower, washing your face, maybe reading a couple of chapters of, a book for fun. But do those things consistently, because again, that will let your body know that, okay, we're about to enter sleepy time. Okay. Have a light snack if you're hungry. Okay, so when you're sleeping during the day, you don't go 7 to 9 hours without eating. Nobody does that. You're snacking, you're drinking water, you're having meals. You don't go without 7 to 9 hours without eating during the day. So right before going to bed, have just a very light snack if you're hungry. So a piece of fruit that doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, some decaffeinated tea, just something real small and light, that will kind of hold you over until the morning time when you get up to have breakfast. And let's be honest, a lot of us skip breakfast in the morning anyway, so having that something extra right before bed should not be a problem. Stop the scroll again. Do not stay up scrolling on your phone all night, looking at TikTok, scrolling through Instagram or Twitter. Stop the scroll, put your phone down. I like to say that nightstands are one of the worst inventions ever, right? Especially nightstands with drawers, because you put stuff in them and you can put your phone on them. And so anything that's within the reach of your bed, you're going to reach for it and it's going to distract you and keep you from going to sleep. So I know this is difficult, but I think you should try it for at least a week. Put your phone away from your bed. Don't sleep with your phone in your bed. Don't sleep with it on a nightstand. If you've got a dresser that's like 3 or 4 feet away, put it on your dresser. Put your phone on the other side of the room to charge at night. And just see how much of a difference that makes, not only with your sleep, but also when your alarm goes up, you'll actually have to get up and walk across the room to get it. So maybe you might get up on time, but just try it. See how it works for you. Um, you only want to use your bed for the two S's, right? And what are the two S's? Does anybody want to put in the chat? What are the two S's that you should only use your bed for? Anybody know? Yes, Fola, thank you. Yes, your bed should only be used for sleep and sex. That's it. Your bed shouldn't be used for reading. Your bed shouldn't be used for watching TV. Your bed shouldn't be used for, I don't know, Call of Duty. Where is it? Call of Duty. That's not what your bed is for. Your bed is for sleep and intimacy, and that's it. So only use your bed for the two S's. And then maybe incorporate some bedtime stretching or bedtime yoga or other relaxation techniques. We're running out of time, so I'm not going to have time to play the video, but on our Student Health Services YouTube page, so our office has a YouTube page, and we've got this video about progressive muscle relaxation. So if you search for SHSU Student Health Services, we've got this progressive muscle relaxation video. It basically takes you through cycles of tightening your muscles in different areas and then releasing them. And that really, really helps to put your body in a very relaxed mode. And so you can do that right before bed and you will be nice and loose and relaxed in time to go to sleep. So I think you should try that out and see how that works. And it's free. All you gotta do is pull it up on YouTube. You don't even have to look at your phone. You can just have it playing in the background. Oops. All right. So the last thing I wanted to point out was just a couple of ways that, so I kind of harp on how your phone is really, really bad, right, for your sleep. But there are actually some ways that you can use your phone for good, right? So if I'm an iPhone user, right, I have given up the green bubble struggle a long time ago. But for those of you who use an iPhone, there are a couple of different ways that you can use your phone to help you sleep better. One is this bedtime mode, right? So that'll tell you on weekdays or every day or weekend, you can set it to how many hours you want to sleep. And it'll tell you what time you need to go to sleep and what time you can wake up, right? So if you want 8 hours of sleep, you gotta go to bed at 11 and wake up at 7, right? That'll give you 8 hours of sleep. And it'll send you a gentle reminder about 15 minutes before your bedtime. And it'll say, it'll play the lullaby song and it'll say, time for bed. So that's a way that your phone can help you out. Also in the bottom corner, in the bottom right-hand corner, for both Androids and iPhones, they have these filters that are basically nighttime filters or night shift filters This takes the blue light out of your phone screen. So remember, I briefly mentioned that the blue light tells your brain not to produce melatonin, which helps you sleep. Well, you can turn a filter onto your screen to make it the more warm yellowish color that will allow your body to start producing that melatonin so you can sleep, right? So if you're going to use your phone at night, which I don't, recommend, or right before bed, which I don't recommend, at least turn on the night shift or the nighttime filter so that you can get that blue light out of there. Okay. Some other apps that I thought were helpful. There's two really, really good and free podcasts. One is called Sleep With Me and one is called Dreamful. And they're basically nighttime stories, right? They're these people with this very soothing voice that will just talk. And so if you're somebody who feels, like you need another person there, a little bit of loneliness, these apps are amazing. Also, Calm has bedtime stories and meditation. So Calm is also a free app. Sleep Cycle is an app that you can track how long you sleep. You can track how frequent you sleep, how long it takes to go to sleep. So if you're looking at tracking your sleep or having a sleep diary, Sleep Cycle is great. And then there's the Sleep Sounds app that if you're somebody who needs just like white noise, like a thunderstorm or a waterfall or something, that is a free app where you can have some white noise in the background to help you go to sleep. Okay, so definitely screenshot those, try them out. Again, everything doesn't work for everybody, and you may need to give it a few tries, a week or so before you're seeing some results, but definitely give it a try. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Well, I'll stay on for just a few minutes late, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm actually going to launch our poll. So if you've been to our lunch and learns, you know that we do a poll just to kind of gauge what you think about the lunch and learn for today. So please stick around. I just launched it to get our poll. Once you're done with the poll, feel free to leave the meeting and have a great, great rest of your week. And I wish you lots and lots of Z's so you can get those degrees. So thank you, everybody.